All right, we're joined now by Barstool's Bill Cotter, formerly known as Billy Football. Is this a name that you've retired? Have you graduated from Billy to Bill?
That's a great question. I think when I'm talking about football or I'm involved in football setting, I'll go with Billy Football. But Bill Cotter sort of introduced that one during the campaign, so we can just use either or depending on the subject matter.
What were you growing up? Like, you're obviously a William. By the way, I'm not a William. I'm a Williams. My name is actually my
Oh.
mother's maiden name, so it's the last name Williams, which
Mhm.
I've always gone by Will my entire life. But what did you go by? Were you ever Will? Were you always
Yeah.
Billy?
So I honestly, what kind of happened was I was William growing up when I was a kid, and my mom calls me William to this day, and it's very funny. Then I was W, which was like my dad's nickname for me. And then I was Will when I got to sort of like middle school. Because I was, it was just quick and easier. I honestly was called by my last name for most of my life because there's so many Williams. And then, yeah, so like pretty much middle school, I was William and then Cotter because there was too many Williams. And then sort of I just told people to start calling me Will. Like, when you're in like my first name, or like, I don't know, pretty much all the dudes would call me Cotter or Will when they want to catch my attention. And then I became Billy when I wanted to have a name that wasn't my real name connected with like Barstool, and I became an intern because I didn't know back then if I'd do it full time, and kind of wanted to keep the real name in the back pocket just in case I was applying for real jobs. And I was like, screw it, I'll be Bill to my friends uh, when I want to be taken a little more serious. It's like a weird thing. You can't be William for your whole life. Like that's sort of almost
No.
pretentious to a point.
No, you don't meet many Williams, to your point of pretension, unless they're
Yeah.
royalty.
Yeah.
I know a few guys. I can come up with a few that stick with William, but not many. I was always Will. Like, I didn't have a choice. I was just Will. And if I'm ranking them, and you've been all over the map, by the way, and I can't believe how many times you've switched. I did go through my college, and even more so in law school, where it was just Kane. Everybody just calls you by your last name. But if I'm ranking them on like cool factor, like, I think I mean, Will is number two. Like, Will's the second best on these variations of William. I think number one's Billy. I mean, I think Billy's awesome. Like, Billy is Billy the Kid. Billy's got a
Yeah.
little edge to Billy. You don't know. Billy doesn't have edge. I don't think Billy's the guy that gets in a fight at the bar. Billy doesn't have a bad side, but Billy has a mischievous side. Like, you got to be careful with Billy. He doesn't have an angry bad side, but he has an unpredictable, fun, good side.
Yeah. No, there's that edge, but it's also in a professional setting, can Billy get it done? And that was like, can he be taken seriously? It sounds a little too much like
Right.
silly. So that's where, that's the edge
Well,
you
can
deal with.
any of the IE or Y names pull it off in the adult arena? So my name is Charles Williams Kane. And so, like, my dad, my granddad, Charles just is sort of the familial name. So my son is Charles, but he goes by it. But he's Charlie. He's never been Charles. He's always Charlie. By the way, I think Charlie is in the same vein as Billy. Like, most Charlies I've met are a good time and a little unpredictable.
Mm.
But I think you can keep Charlie. Like, I think you can roll with Charlie all throughout
Yeah.
a professional career. I agree with you. Billy's a little more playful and childlike.
But I mean, are you gonna ever put him in a Chuck situation? Because that's
No,
that's that's an
only
option.
only Charles Barkley can pull off Chuck, right? Come on. Oh, Chuck Woolery, he pulls it off
Mhm.
too. So I don't think Chuck had. But what do you think about the IE or Y last name? By the way, do you think there's a difference between the Y and the IE? Like, are IEs for girls? Because it is
Yeah.
Charlie with IE, but that's how guys do. That one's reverse. Like,
Yeah.
Billy with a Y is a dude, Billy with an IE is a girl. Reverse
Yep.
on Charlie. IE is a dude, Y is a girl.
Exactly. No, definitely
So
agree on
Tommy,
that. Yeah,
Can you
Tommy.
roll Tommy all throughout your professional life? I think you can roll Tommy.
No, Tom. You got to be Tom. Tommy with a Y is a boy. Tommy with an IE is a girl. So I think
Yes,
Charlie's the only exception to that.
might
So
be. But you think you have to become Tom. Like when it's time to, when you get the president job, the president of the company, or you're seeking for promotion, you can't go in there as Tommy. You got to be Tom.
I mean, what do you want to be addressed by in a courtroom? You know that's the big one.
Right.
Yeah.
And you
I,
know
I,
something about that, right?
I mean,
Now, calling him to the stand for his ballot signatures. Let me bring to the witness box Billy Cotter. No, Bill Cotter. I'm going to believe Bill Cotter.
Billy Cotter would have forged some signatures. Bill Cotter didn't forge anything. Bill, how does Bill get to Congress? How does a bill get to Congress? That works. Uh, but yeah, that was wild. I've honestly I've almost like forgotten about that whole thing. And then I saw the two guys do a debate for the congressional district. And I was like, if I was in this thing, I'd mop the floor with these guys. I was like
Oh,
watching two teams in a championship game. Like, I guess, we've been in media. We are very comfortable presenting, thinking on our feet. And I was just looking at these two guys and I was like, this would have been, round one if I was in this. But, you just think about those things. But it's way out there. I wish the best for both of them. I just want whoever gets in to lead the district correctly. But getting hit with 3,000 counts of fraud in a civil court where you have to prove each signature is diabolical. So they did that to RFK. That's how they got RFK, and I mean, it just shows there's a problem. But I stick to sports for now. I try to, but this election season's
you're
heating
not.
up.
Are you done with politics?
I don't know. Um, there's nothing I can do right now, but hey, I might catch a few write-ins. I'll check on that in November. So
Let's walk the line between sports and politics. Let's actually go to baseball. I got in a debate with the producers here of the Will Kane Show. Eric Adams, the mayor of New York City, wore a dual Yankees Mets hat. Now, Billy, I'm
crime,
a big believer
crime.
in sports. It's not a crime.
It's a
I'm a
crime.
big believer in sports monogamy. I totally believe in it. Like, I don't think you get. I'm a big monogamist. I am no bigamy, no polygamy. I'm a monogamist, and I don't think you get choices. I have a whole theory. You're born to it, right? And so I'm from the Dallas area, and I'm faithful. All four major sports, I'm faithful. My boys, my sons, were born in New York and lived there for the first half of their childhood. I brainwashed them, so they're Dallas through and through. And I think you get an asterisk, if your dad brainwashes you, that you are allowed to root for your dad's teams if it feels like, that's who you're supposed to be. You're not supposed to be a New Yorker. But if you're the mayor of New York and there's only two baseball teams, I think he can do this. He's supposed to represent the entirety of the city.
The only understandable point there is the contention between boroughs. Because I think that's unique to New York. Because if you're favoring, say the Yankees, that's Manhattan's and Bronx bias. If you're, favoring the Mets, that's Queens, Brooklyn. So there is a point of contention when it comes to policy that could be applied there. But it's actually a great hat. But as a Yankee fan, I just can't stand Met fans. So, I really hope it's a Subway Series just because it'd be amazing to be in the city for it. Because the last one I don't remember. It was in my lifetime, but I think I was literally 1 year old, less than. But I'd love to see it just to see baseball heat up because the Yankees Red Sox rivalry hasn't been as hot. It's always been hot, but like I remember back when I was like I was a much bigger baseball fan when I was in like late 2000s, early 2010s. Go to all the games. I had more time, and like that's when it was like really hot. but as of late, I haven't really seen it. But the Mets Yankees rivalry has gotten way more heated in the past couple of years because no one's really gotten anything done. So we've had to fight it out for New York.
That's a very Gen Z view of Yankees Mets. I think most Yankees fans little brother the Mets to the extent of like you're not even worthy of our attention, much less our anger, and that's all directed at Boston. But to hear you say, "No, I hate Mets fans," I don't know. I think that may be Gen Z.
It is. It's absolutely like the narratives of a lot of sports teams have changed. Like you know, Boston fans were always told to me growing up, like, 1918 haven't won, like, them. And now I'm like, wait a second, what the hell? That's what this was supposed to be. And just seeing the past 20 years, I mean, the curse of the Bambino was what was taught to me, and like the narrative has changed. It's a new age.
Yeah.
Mm.
All right, we're going to break some news here today on the Will Cain Show. Billy Football has some inside information, is what I've been led to believe, from the University of Minnesota regarding the coaching career of governor and vice presidential candidate Tim Walz.
So it's from the state of Minnesota, but I was with a guy who played for him over the past weekend. And he told me, and he went to his high school, and he either was played with guys, he was either 4 years in the realm of when Tim Walz was coach. And apparently the guy had too many DUIs to be the head coach of the football team. So that's why he could never be a head coach. And technically, yeah, he could also never be an actual employee. He could only be a volunteer for the team because of his past DUI history. Which I don't know.
I don't know the quantity.
Hearsay. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, we got to be careful with the hearsay.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you what's not the alleged quantity of DUIs, but he definitely has had them. I mean, that's part of the whole, is he telling the truth about his record his past on a whole host of things. But like, he was definitely arrested. He was definitely taken in. And it definitely did hurt his coaching career. I think it's why he left Nebraska and went to Minnesota. My thing is, how about this? Is there a limit depending upon the hierarchy of your coaching title when you stop being coach? Like, okay, you're a high school head football coach. You're coach for life, right? If you're offensive or defensive coordinator, you probably get to run around with people still calling you coach. But like, if you're a high school position coach, are you always coach? I don't know. Like, we got to retire it. You got to have something else in life.
So I've actually been on an email chain with one of my high school assistant coaches, who it's just him basically being like, why haven't you come back for a game like in a long time? You're big timing us. And he just like keeps emailing me this. I've been back for a couple games, but just, more closer to when I was in high school. And he's like, you got to come back. You got to come back. I'm busy nowadays. There's like weddings, I'm now like a couple years out of college. So it's like, do I go to my college games, high school games to like see the guys? And so I still call him coach. He was a wide receiver coach, but he was the man. So it depends on how long you're at the team.
Where did you play college football?
I played quarterback in high school. I came in as a quarterback to college, D3, NESCAC football, Williams College in Massachusetts. And then I just started playing a little bit of sort of flex Y tight end. Didn't get much playing time, we'll admit. I got the name out of high school.
If I lined up the Barstool personalities who are not former professional athletes, and I asked, who's the best? I'm going to leave it generic at first with athlete, but I didn't realize this. I just saw this recently. Caleb Presley.
Yep.
He was a college football player. I didn't realize that. And he was a quarterback, right?
Uh-huh.
Who's the better quarterback, you or Caleb?
So there's 3 former college quarterbacks at the company. There's Captain Collins, who played at Army. There's Caleb. He played at UNC. I've watched Caleb's highlight tape. He's very fleet of foot. He could sling it. My game was more Bo Wallace on the Old Miss. If I describe my high school tape, just a lot of quarterback power. I could throw it far back in the day. I've lost it since playing like tight end. But I'd probably say Caleb just because he played higher level football in high school. But we will maybe have a quarterback challenge one day. Cons.
Well, you don't have to throw the. Oh, but you don't have to throw the ball at Army. Like, do they even throw?
Yeah. I mean, so
at Army?
I remember the Army recruiter walked into my high school to recruit. Based out of New York, we were less than an hour away. He walked into our high school, and basically all the guys who coach sent to like meet with him. He looks at me and he's like, "Oh, you're the quarterback? You're way too tall. Like, sorry, man." And I was just like, "That makes sense."
Too tall.
Too tall to get in the mesh. Too tall to get in the mesh of handing the ball off. Like, he just looked at me. He's like, "No offense, man. Like, I haven't even looked at your tape. You're too tall." Like, I was like, "Okay,
wow,
okay, that makes sense." Yeah. I mean,
I have another question about Barstool. So it's interesting, and I'm not trying to be serious. This is actually just curiosity. You guys, it's interesting how you guys have you flirt. I wouldn't say you go all the way. Although you did, you ran for office as a Republican, but you flirt with like political topics. Bussing with the boys, had on Donald Trump. Here's two questions for you. Is there ever any internal problem? I mean, I know how Dave runs a company, and there's not going to be any problem that lasts for very long. But I would guess, Billy, and I know guys who probably Ringer, other places, and the answer is definitely yes. Like, I'm not going to be a guest on many podcasts at some sports networks because, hey, it's Will. He works at Fox, and I'm throw all the words you want. Alt-right, just name whatever insult they want to throw. And that's enough internally to make it not happen. Is that ever an issue at Barstool?
I am, I'm never in those conversations internally. So if there's like we can never do this, I am much lower on the totem pole than to be in those conversations. And I just speak for myself. So.
Well, okay, but here's one. Then you can. This is my other curiosity. You can do this directly. I'm not going to put you in a bad position because I mean this out of curiosity, not like let me get you. I've worked at CNN, I've worked at ESPN, and I've worked at Fox. It's obviously somewhat different at Fox, but what about the hallways? Like, is there any interpersonal tension with people that have different politics than you? Like, I mean, I've said this, man. I almost had it out with Don Lemon at CNN, like in the hallways. ESPN was more cordial, but it was kind of a little undercurrent sometimes with some personal relationships. Do you have that at Barstool?
Because it's more comedic, a lot of people will make jokes that are funny. And as long as it's funny, it's like no one cares. But it's like, it's more just talking about politics from the aspect of humor. And that's what's funny. Yeah. So like no one's arguing about it. They're more likely if they're talking about it to be like, that's ridiculous. Like that is ridiculous if it's on the other side.
Right.
Our dog's
that's
on the
good.
menu.
That's healthy. That's healthy. I also think that the hardest thing about that, in my experience, is for a lot of guys on the left to laugh at themselves or laugh at the situation. Increasingly, it's gotten that way. So it's good. And I know you have guys on the left there. That's great. That's fine. I don't think you have to have a political litmus test, but that they can still laugh and not see everyone that disagrees with them as an existential threat to the country is a good thing, for the halls of Barstool.
No, yeah. I mean,
all right, man. Go ahead.
I mean, those conversations, like no one's having it out and getting angry about it, But maybe that's just what I've seen.
Good.
So.
All right. I'll let you off of this. this conversation of the gossip behind the scenes at Barstool, and we'll talk some sports. Let's stick with baseball. Yankees, Guardians, Mets, Dodgers. So the producers here, everybody wants to talk about this. The guys on my show, like the umps, the calls, the moving strike zone. Do we need to go to a robo? Do we need to go to a robo ump? I don't want a robo ump. I think like human error is a great part of the game, but I also think that you need to have some consistency. Like an ump just needs to make his strike zone consistent, even if it's off. Just be consistent. I don't want robots.
The only way I'd want a robot is if the umpire was an actual like robo humanoid. So like I want the robot to be behind home plate, looking like almost Cletus, the Fox football robot. It's the ump's got to look like a super transformer, like umpire. That's the only way I'm cool with it. If it's like we're just looking at all the video angles of it being a strike box, that I think is BS. That's too good. We want robot ump, one guy that like, umpire managers don't want to get in the face of because it's like, how powerful is this thing? The ump has got to have gravitas and it's got to be scary and it's got to be. That's the type of robo ump I'd be down with. Anything else is BS. If it's like VAR, get it out of here. I want a straight up Tesla. Make a creepy ass giant robot that like would choke slam someone who like tried to contest its calls. And then I think everyone would be cool with it.
But what if he didn't look like Cletus? Like you saw the video that went around the other day with somebody talking to a robot, and he's not like Cletus. He's not like jacked and 9 feet tall. But I just like, what would be the point? So a manager goes out and you argue with the robot. What's the point? Like you're not going to win. You can't influence him for his future calls. It'd really be disheartening.
No,
but
kick
the dirt
AI,
on his robot feet.
The AI would take on all of that. It would be hilarious. Like the AI processing insults. Like I'm telling you, it would bring way more viewership to baseball. Screw the pitch count.
So you're for it.
Yep.
You're for it as long as it has this entertainment angle. Cletus intimidating managers behind the plate.
Exactly. I mean, it's crazy, but I tell you, it worked.
ESPN, Billy, came out. I know that everybody's focused on baseball and football. I always like preseason talk as much as I like midseason talk. They came out with their list of top NBA players. I don't know if you saw this, but their top 10 NBA players they published today. Top 5 goes like this. 1, Jokic. 2, Luka. 3, Giannis. I'm trying to remember 4 and 5. 4, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. And Embiid was out. LeBron was out. Who was 5? 5 might have been Steph Curry. I can't remember. What do you think?
Unpatriotic. Whoever that writer is.
Because your top 3 players aren't American?
Yeah, I think, go out into the parking lot and look at what that guy's driving, and it's probably a foreign car. So I'm just saying.
Who, Nikola?
Nikola's like a Volkswagen. Like that guy's in a Volkswagen Beetle or something driving to work. But yeah, honestly, I think the American players, we showed in the Olympics, they mopped the floor with everybody. There's definitely some guys who can get a bucket. I mean, honestly, you just need to take it to clutch games. I don't know the specific statistics on those guys. I know they're very good players, but there's definitely an American that tops them in just how they play and how they can, get a bucket. I'm blanking on his name, Anthony Edwards. I think he should be up there. I know the stats might not back it up, but he's a guy who can win games and bring a team together.
He came in 10th, and he does have fourth quarter scoring problems. He's like Michael Jordan for the first 3 quarters, and then he's Anthony Edwards in the fourth quarter. I think you got Jokic pinned wrong. There's no way Jokic drives a Volkswagen.
I don't think.
Now,
Jokic
I'm not telling you it's American. He drives a Hummer. He's driving something that you would have if everything descended into civil war? Because I think, he's ready for that. He knows that can happen. Jokic, now Giannis, he's way too tall for a Volkswagen, but Giannis could be a Volkswagen guy. Luka's probably like a Tesla guy. That's probably what I could see there. But I don't know that you got any guys that are driving F-150s.
No, I'm saying the guy who wrote that list, he's driving a foreign vehicle in the parking lot at ESPN. That's what I'm saying. He's driving a foreign vehicle, and I can tell just by the list he made.
You would take Anthony Edwards over the Joker?
No, I would put him in that top 5, and it's probably debatable. The Joker is insane. Like, the Joker, he doesn't even like playing basketball. Imagine if he liked how much better he would be if he liked playing basketball. I mean, he's just mad. He's just too big to be good at the sport he truly loves, which is horse riding, chariot riding, which is nuts because, probably way back in the day, like Roman chariot riders like Jokic would have probably been pretty good back then when they could also like fight.
Absolutely. I could see Jokic on the floor of the Coliseum. Absolutely. Yeah. They've now just brought in, they bill him as like, the giant from, what is he, Serbian? The giant from Serbia. They've brought him in from the edges of the Roman Empire to fight lions. Yes, I could see him on the floor of the Coliseum.
On a chariot with his horses, with a giant sword, just going around. Like, that is what he truly is supposed to be doing. Not playing basketball. And he hates basketball. That's what he really wants to be doing. And the closest thing he can do to it is the pull cart races that he's obsessed with.
You're getting dangerously close. I saw a little clip from your new politics podcast with Tommy Smokes and a few other guys over there at Barstool, where somebody said one of their biggest pet peeves, an automatic turnoff, is any dude that says I was born in the wrong time. You're getting dangerously close with Jokic right here. Born in the wrong time. He should have been born in 100 AD.
Check out Audio Crack. Crack is spelled like the Irish crack, just like good vibes. It's a great show. Subscribe to the YouTube, please, if you can. We're trying to grow it. But it's not all politics. It's sports, politics. It's everything. It's just good vibes and good banter. Great topics. Born in the wrong era. I think if you're talking about historical times, it's fine. If you're like, I wish I was born in the 70s, like, get out. Like if you wish you were like a teen, like in the 20s and the 70s or like in the 50s, like, you can that's a guy who just needs to go shop at thrift stores and like smoke cigarettes. Like that's their vibe. So,
yeah, I've flirted with being that guy.
Well,
I gotta admit, I've flirted with being that guy. I'll tell you two things. I love history, so I've flirted with. Man, I wish I was an adventurer on a boat in the 1700s. The age of exploration, or I wish I was in the Wild West in the 1800s. But I've read too much now. That's awful life. It was really awful. I mean, odds are you get scurvy, your teeth fall out. It's just not good. It's real bad. And then, so I flirted with being the other guy. Being like the 70s actually seems like a really great decade. Like, I think I've said before, that's the right music, country, rock, and otherwise. That's when, you got away with stuff in the 70s. Everybody was a little freer. You might have had to wait in line for gas. But, it's just more fun.
But the thing is, you can do all the things that the 70s had now. You just got to do it. Like, what's one thing that you could do then that you couldn't do now?
Well, you can do it, yes. But can you get away with it now? It's harder to get away with stuff. That's my point.
I don't know.
Somebody's going to put it up with a cell phone video and you're done.
Whoa. Reputation
over.
But what's that movie Footloose where they play chicken with tractors and stuff? That's the sort of stuff that I feel like, you can definitely still do. Private property. It's anyone's.
That's the 80s. That's Iowa. That's Iowa in the 1980s.
But
All right. Well, maybe I'm that guy. All right. Every week I do Will versus the experts. I'm generally beating the experts. I lost last week to Ian Miller from Outkick.com. I got Billy Football now from Barstool. I'm going to pick 5 games that I care about watching, that I think everybody cares about watching. You and I are going to pick the games. I'll give you the line. Okay, Billy? You tell me who you were going to take. I'll tell you who I'm going to take. We'll see who's better by. Should be Sunday. I don't think I care about the game on Monday.
is this just pros?
I don't feel good. No. I got 2 college games in.
Okay,
2
cool,
college,
cool.
3 pro. And I don't like pro football, picking them. It's like it's Russian roulette. This college is much easier to pick. But I'm going to save college football because they're the best 2 games of the weekend. But so we'll start in pro. Houston Texans at Green Bay Packers. Packers giving up 2.5. Billy.
I'm going to go with Houston. C.J. Stroud has been amazing. I think he definitely covers that game.
I'm definitely going with the Packers. Only 2.5 at home. But yeah, Jordan Love's looking good now. And Green Bay can run the ball. So I'm going to go with the Packers. Lions going to Minnesota. Minnesota's favored by 1.5.
I'm going Lions, absolutely.
I know. But I think we could be prisoners of the moment here because they smoked the Cowboys, and that could just be how bad – that could just be bad Dallas. But I'm doing the same. I think I have to go Lions.
The reason is
it's okay.
The Lions fans are going to travel well to Minnesota, and they're in a dome. So the home field advantage might not be as big of a deal as people think.
Yeah.
That drive
Lions without Aiden Hutchinson, but
True.
They're good. They're good all around. Yeah, we both go Detroit. All right, here's the big NFL game of the weekend. Kansas City, San Francisco. In San Francisco, it's San Francisco minus 1.5.
If it was a different line, I feel like San Francisco is going to win, but it could be on a last-second field goal. I'm going to go with San Francisco. Kansas City has gotten away with too much with penalties this season. You know, Travis Kelce hasn't really been there. I'm going to go with San Francisco.
All right, we're going to be on the same side of this one as well. I'm going San Francisco. I also believe in the rebound game in the NFL. That's why I'm a little worried about picking the Lions. Like, I don't know. You're going to blow out another team, but San Francisco loses to the – was that last weekend? No, it was the weekend before. They lost to the Cardinals. But like you, KC is not convincing. They're not convincing. So
they're due.
They're due. Yeah. So we both have the Niners. All right. Here are the good games of the weekend, the big games. First of all, Alabama at Tennessee. Tennessee at home is getting 3.
So Nico is so. I'm going to go with Tennessee because Alabama is like, after that Vanderbilt game, I don't know how psychological like that affected them, that, oh, we are not Alabama anymore. They are not the Nick Saban Alabama. They are not, there's no dynasty that they are a part of. It's been definitely de facto, like, this is no longer like the New England Patriots dynasty is over. Like, there's no residual effect anymore. The Nick Saban dynasty is over. And Tennessee is going to come, and they're coming at Alabama with the same tenacity that they did the Nick Saban era Alabama, and they're going to get their best game. And I don't think Alabama has, the standing and the confidence. The spirit of Alabama football has sort of died. And I think that's what we're going to see in this game. It's going to be like, okay, Alabama is no longer the Alabama, and this just seals the deal.
So the loser of this game is going to have a hard time making the playoffs. They're going to be at 2 losses. Yeah. And I'm trying, as you speak, to talk myself into Alabama because I was going to take Tennessee. And I don't want to be on the same side of every bet here as you.
Yeah,
so
we got to split it up.
I like that Tennessee is home. And I do think Tennessee is better than they show, but their offense was horrible last week. So I'm doing a decent job of talking myself into Ryan Williams, who is amazing. Like, throw it up. Jalen Miller, just throw it up to Ryan Williams. He's a stud, the freshman wide receiver. Did you know he's only 17? You've heard? Yeah. So I can do it. Yeah. All right. Road team. But I have to give up 3 is the problem. You get 3 at home with Tennessee. I really don't like that. But okay, I'll take Alabama. I'll do it. I'll take one for the team. Roll Tide. And now the big game. I'm going to go first because you're not going to put me on the wrong side of this bet.
I know.
Georgia, Texas, in Austin. But the Longhorns are giving up 5, and that's a lot of points. I'm just going to tell you right now, I'm taking Texas.
You're taking Texas? Okay, I'll go Georgia. Georgia's strong. You know, that Alabama.
Are they?
That Alabama close game, and I know it's not the Alabama anymore, but I like Georgia. They're, you know, they've had their downs, but they can still play. I think they've worked it out.
You know, it doesn't matter how many times Texas beats Alabama or almost beats Alabama or rolls OU, all of which I'm talking about recent history. They just have enough to breed some insecurity from the past that I'm like, oh, we may not be there just yet. Going to take a loss at some point. This isn't the worst loss of the season to take. But this Texas team, man, they're good. I think Georgia's shown vulnerability, and not just against Alabama. And I'm just not a huge, like, all-the-way believer in Carson Beck. I'm just not. So I wish it wasn't 5 points. But, yeah, I feel good about the Horns. And I'll lay the 5. There we go. In Austin, Saturday night. I hope I can stay up late enough to watch that game.
I think.
All right, there we go. That's Will versus the experts.
Yeah, so
go ahead.
I'm with you on Texas. I think Texas wins, but I think Georgia covers. I got that right. Yeah.
Yeah. That's right. You got you get the 5 points, so you'll be fine.
Yeah.
You'll probably be fine. All right, there you go. That's Will versus the experts with Billy Football, aka Bill Cotter. Check out Audio Crack at Barstool, brand new podcast, sports, culture, good banter, as he describes it. Billy Football. Thanks, man.
Thanks, man. Thank you so much for having me on. Next time it's got to be in studio. Next time I'm down in Texas, let's get in studio.
Do you come to Texas?
I've been recently. Actually, I might be there pretty soon. I'll let you know. But
okay. I got a little seat right here in my closet of a studio. It's no Barstool Sports, but we're going to get you in studio here in Texas. All right, man. Yeah. We'll see you, Billy.
See you, man. Thank you so much.
There he goes. Billy Football. Check out Audio Crack at Barstool Sports.